Hey guys, this is Adam Amble from the A to G Show 2.0, about to start in 1 minute. Tonight on the show, we are discussing some of our favorite sports documentaries of all time, our least favorite sports to watch on TV, thoughts on Tom Brady, and what sports world has been like moving to a new state, plus some B&O. So join in the fun and welcome to the A to G Show 2.0. All right. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to episode 11 of the A to G Show 2.0. I'm Adam Amble, coming to you live from Castle Rock, Colorado on yet another gorgeous Tuesday evening. It is my pleasure to welcome back our favorite millennial, live from Nashville, Tennessee, Garrett Collier. G, how you doing, man? Welcome back, my friend.
What is up? It feels like it's been way more than a couple weeks. I missed it.
All right. Well, good to have you back, man. And thank you for everyone joining in tonight. First of all, I'd like to say, extend my thanks to Scott Uleberry, filled in for G the last couple of weeks. He did a great job. So thanks, Scotty, if you are watching. And thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight live on Facebook. Make sure to head on over to the M Factor channel on YouTube and subscribe. We really appreciate it. There's a link in the subscription. So click on that, leave us a like. And of course, if you missed the show tonight or just want to peruse it again, then it will be posted on the M Factor page later tomorrow. And I'm happy to announce we finally got some merch if you didn't see it last week. So if you want to support the M Factor, head on over to that address and grab yourself some cool stuff. It will be growing, so make sure to keep checking up for updated items. And if you have a request, just let me know. It is greatly appreciated, of course. And as for tonight, don't forget to share on your page so we can all join in on the fun. But let's get it rolling with the first topic, and that is discussing some of yours and ours favorite sports documentaries. With the conclusion of The Last Dance, G, what has been some of your inspirational documentaries, or just documentaries that you really remember from your childhood, and maybe some ones that you don't even like? Maybe we'll go with that as well. Give us your, maybe you have a list or whatever, but give us one of your top documentaries of all time that you've been able to witness or watch.
Man, this was one immediately came to mind, and we've talked about it a lot on the show with it being a Michigan podcast, but it's the Fab Five 30 for 30. I mean, they were just before my time, so I didn't get to watch them play, which stinks. But as a Michigan fan, I feel like that's like a critical part of our basketball story is the Fab Five and the effect that it left on the university, and what Chris Webber, the sanctions that he caused us to have to go through and everything like that, and why they did what they did, and how they changed the game of basketball, and they changed the landscape of college basketball forever. So, that came to mind immediately, and it sticks out to me, and I think it always will be one of my favorites, if not my favorite.
Now, how old were you when that actually came out? I mean, it wasn't too long ago, but I do know that, obviously you were old enough to remember it, right, G? That's clincher right there, but...
Yeah, it came out when I was in high school, and I remember watching it like when it came out, and I've watched it probably 3 or 4 times since. I'll be scrolling through the ESPN app even now, and it pops up, and I'm like, man, I should watch that again. It never gets old.
Yeah, I agree. That was actually one of my top ones as well. Actually, it was the first one on my list. I got 3 that really come to mind. The Fab Five, more recent era, of course, when I'm in my 30s, and I every time it's on, it's one of those documentaries, of course, where it's on, you just stop to watch it no matter how many times you've actually watched it. And really, to your point as well, I really enjoyed the kind of the background of what was going on, because it was about the Fab Five as a culture, right? It wasn't so much the fact that they were a great freshman. Of course, if JC is watching, I'm sure he would dispute that. Oh, what did they ever win? But they really set the tone in basketball. You remember obviously how cool it was for the Black Sox. Obviously you weren't
Yeah.
born yet, G, but you probably gather that from the actual documentary, right? Of how they brought about the Black Sox, the baggy shorts, because beforehand it was those uptight shorts, right? And just the baggy uniforms, the trash talking. They really brought about a culture change when it came to college basketball. This was after the Bad Boys, of course, but at the same time, it was just and I really like how the documentary was put together too, because not only was it about basketball, but it was about something that we've discussed a few times, right, G, and that is paying college players for their likeness. Right, we've gone over that a few times, and really that was when the era they really brought that about. There was a famous scene when Chris Webber was walking down the street, right, and there was his jersey in the M Den. There was his jersey in
Yep.
the M Den. There's these Nikes that these guys wear, and all the university just making tons of money off these guys, and they're not seeing a lick of it, right? They had to save up to. I think Jalen was the one guy that was like, Jalen was like, we had to save up, all week just to buy a pizza at the end of the day, play some video games with our buddies and have some soda and pizza, right? I don't know if
Right.
it was soda, but whatever. Nonetheless, I really agree. That was definitely on my list. You almost have to put that on if you're a Michigan fan, despite if you despise Chris Webber, right, or not. I really
Right.
think that that goes on there. What do you got? What do you got for a second there, G?
Yeah, it's another Michigan-ish related one, but the Brady Six documentary. It's a short one. It's only like 50 minutes or something like that, I think. But
Hey, that's all right. That's
it's really, it's a good one. I like it.
yeah.
That one, and then there's one. It's not as well known. It's called Schooled. It's called the cost of college athletics. It's called Schooled, the cost of college athletics, and it's all about whether athletes should be paid or not to play college sports, and whether or not they should be able to make money or work a job or whatever.
What's it
I did
called? G, schooled?
It's called Schooled, yeah. It's got Jay Billis is in it. Arian Foster, the running back from the Texans who went to UT, is
Oh,
in
really?
it. But I did a research project in college, like a quote unquote book report, but it was on you. I had to watch a documentary and then do outside research, but that was the piece that I used to do the project on, and I've watched it 2 or 3 times since. It's my favorite non 30 for 30 documentary that's a sports
Okay, yeah.
documentary for sure.
If you want to get into it, then 30 for 30 is of course pretty much all of them, right? I don't.
As a whole, they're
Yeah,
fantastic.
the way they're put together, I like how each of them have their artistic differences in each episode. I
Right.
don't know if you watched. Did you watch the Lance Armstrong one that was on?
Yeah.
I haven't watched
Yep.
it. I've recorded it, so I've started to record. I know you can get them on demand, but I've started to record all the new 30 for 30s just
Yeah.
because I really enjoy
They're
them.
great.
Yeah. Speaking of 30 for 30s, that was my number 2 actually, G, and that was the Bad Boys 30 for 30, which was on a couple weeks ago. Of course, they got to play that after playing The Last Dance, right? You're gonna have to have them
Right.
both.
Right.
The 30 for 30 Bad Boys one, again, that was back towards when I was just growing up, starting to really enjoy basketball. We're talking 88, 89, 90. Don't forget, G, I was a young buck like you were once upon a great time. I was only like 6, 7 years old when the Bad Boys really started to have their success. And that's what really got me into basketball. I mentioned it before on the show that my first jersey was an Adrian Dantley jersey. And when they mentioned, first time I remember crying actually was when my mom and dad told me on that they heard on the radio that they traded away Adrian Dantley for Mark Aguirre. So that one kind of holds dear to my heart. The Bad Boys. It just brings back great memories. So now you already mentioned your third. Do you have another one, G, or?
It's such a random one, but it's another 30 for 30. But Run Ricky Run, the one about Ricky Williams, was just super interesting because he's such an oddball dude, and his career didn't follow like a traditional timeline at all. He retired in his peak and then came back, and it was just so odd. But if you remember, I remember watching him. I thought he was cool because he had the dreads and the visor on his helmet with the Dolphins. And I remember thinking he was such a cool guy, but then watching it now as like a grown person, like the battles that he faced internally are super interesting. So that's another one of the 30 for 30s that stick out because I just remember him being a cool running back. I was too young to really remember all the other stuff that was going on with him, like wanting to live on an island.
Yeah,
by himself
he was an odd dude
trying to battle the NFL. He was an odd guy, but it's super interesting to learn about it now that I understand what psychology is and that everybody's brain works differently, and his is just he's a unique
Yeah, that's
guy.
kind of where I was at too, with especially Ricky Williams. I remember the day after Thanksgiving, Texas would normally play like Texas A&M the day after
Yeah,
Thanksgiving, and I remember when Ricky actually broke the record, the single season rushing record. I remember watching that game. Great, great time, and that was back in the day. My mom and all the ladies of the family would all go out shopping. My dad would unfortunately have to
yeah,
work, and I'd be, before I had a license or anything, growing up out in the country, what are you going to do
right,
besides watch some college football? I remember it was always Texas A&M, followed by normally Nebraska, Colorado. Back when Nebraska
yeah.
was in the Big 12, and that was always a good time just to eat up on some leftover turkey, right? And let's see, what do we got?
Sure.
Steve Fox, what's up, buddy? Good to see you again. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for everyone else for tuning in as well. Make sure to leave your comments. We're talking about our favorite sports documentaries of all time. G and I, welcome back, Garrett Collier, live from Nashville, Tennessee now. Loving the background too, buddy. That's fantastic. He's got the peacock background. Looking good, looking good. We're rocking the M Factor background still. But Steve Fox says, I like the 30 for 30 on the spirit of St. Louis. Like we said, G, I don't think we're going to find a bad 30 for 30. I don't know if you can
No,
name
you
one.
won't.
Even ones that you aren't really interested in, right? They still seem to make them really well.
Right.
One that comes to mind is just the one that was on last Sunday. I believe it was the Bruce Lee one. Did you happen to
Yeah,
see that one?
yeah.
Something that really doesn't interest me. Maybe you as a MMA type guy, maybe you found it more
Right.
interesting. Did you watch it, G, or?
I didn't watch it. So the UFC event the night before, I bought and watched the
Okay,
pay-per-view
okay.
event, and they showed like a 4-minute preview of it, and it looked fantastic. I didn't get to catch it on Sunday, but I'm definitely going to watch it. But yeah, that's the thing about the 30 for 30s is I've watched ones about tennis and trees. I've watched
exactly.
ones about wrestling, racing, baseball, football, basketball, you name it, hockey, whatever, and soccer, whatever sport you can think of. They've
horse
got
racing,
about it, and they're great.
horse racing
Yeah.
for crying out loud. Even about the horses.
Yeah.
I think we're all in agreement. If anyone watching can give us a terrible 30 for 30, I challenge you. I challenge everyone to try to think of one, because I just can't. Everyone, I've probably watched. The number just comes to mind. I've probably watched 30 of them, G, and 30 to 40, and
Right.
every single one of them I would record and watch again, to be honest with you, and that's what I'm doing. So,
Definitely.
my very last one is goes back towards the Fab Five, or not the Fab Five, pardon me, the Bad Boys, and my mother can attest to this if she's watching. Hi, Mom. Is the Motor City Madness video. And that Motor City Madness, I kid you not, G, I probably watched that video every day for like 2 years straight. I would watch that video and then go shoot hoops in the living room, break the lamp, break it. We had the little Nerf thing, and it was just, I don't know why, the music in it. And I just, again, it's close to my heart, just the fact that it was really the first sport that I truly remember watching. You know what I mean? It's kind of your first memory of when you really took it to heart, of them actually, you get emotional over it, because of course, I remember pre-Fab 5 era with Michigan, but I don't really remember the games. Of course, I remember the Chris Webber timeout, but with the Pistons in the late 80s, or 89 and 90, I can vividly remember like some of the games, which is crazy. Let's see. Steve Fox says 5 Slamma Jamma was a great one too. Again, they're all golden. Hi, Mom. My mom says hi. So let's move on again. Thanks everyone for joining into the A to G Show 2.0. And tonight we're just going over some of our favorite sports documentaries. Thanks for watching. Make sure to share. Make sure to comment. Really appreciate it, everyone. Hopefully we can take up your Tuesday nights. Glad to have Garrett Collier back, G. And let's move on to our second one. And this was our second topic of the night. And this one was just something that watching some of the sports on TV right now, G, I'm sure these sports are prime for getting viewership that otherwise probably wouldn't be there, right? I know golf is going to fire up here soon. NASCAR has been on for a couple weeks. MMA always kind of has, even though it is kind of it's a pay-per-view sport, right? So it's always been kind of popular. But you get some of these sports that you probably wouldn't be caught dead like religiously watching. I know NASCAR is live from Martinsville tomorrow night. Under the lights, which is the first time they've ever raced under the lights in Martinsville, so that'll be interesting. I can't wait to tune into that. But G, give me some of the sports that are your least favorite to watch on TV. Let's say.
Yeah, I mean, this is like the COVID has not affected it. I can't stand watching baseball on TV. It's so slow. I love the game of baseball. I've played my entire life. Pops coached me, till I was in high school, and I love the game. I love going to the ballpark. Nothing beats going. There's a AAA team down here called the Nashville Sounds, and we go in the summer all the time. It's like $15. They got like $10 buckets of beer. It's great. It's a blast.
Yep.
But like watching a baseball game on TV that's not the World Series, you won't see me. Like, nope. I got other crap to do. It's summertime. I'll go outside and grill and sit by a bonfire and hang out before you'll catch me watching a summer baseball game like this. It's too slow. I don't know if I've just fallen in love with basketball too much, and the fast pace it is in football as well. Football's got as much downtime as baseball does, but when the game is going on, it's always there's always action, and baseball's not like that. You get these pitchers duels, which I can appreciate a good pitchers duel.
Sure.
Both guys going into the 6th or 7th inning with a shutout going, that's great. But I don't want to sit there for 5 hours and watch it. You know what I mean? It's not exciting. The World Series is great because it's the World Series, but other than that, I'm just not a big can't stand watching baseball on TV.
So and I would add on to that. That's funny you mentioned baseball, G, because actually that is on my list as well. I have 3 here that are rather unenjoyable to watch unless you have some vested interest. But my big thing with baseball is it is too slow paced, and even in football, you mentioned how they're in the huddle. There's a lot of downtime in football, but even in between, don't forget the fans are just going crazy in between snaps. You're still into the game. You got a lot of vested interest in the game of trying to make it loud for the football players in the huddle, make it loud for the guys to call out plays, make it loud for pre-snap and everything like that. So the crowd really, and even on TV, I think they do a good job of producing it and really making it, making the sound like really crazy in there and make it sound like really, really loud. In baseball, I think it was made to be more relaxing, right? They play 162 games a year.
Yeah.
It's just geared for that, like you were saying, getting a hot dog, grabbing a beer. They do a lot of, Thirsty Thursdays and stuff like that. And I really just think that, like football. Oh, Steve actually just said it. Steve Fox says football is better on TV. It was made for TV. That's pretty much correct. It's just it's even though the action in the actual sport itself isn't nonstop, you still feel like it's still action even when they're in the huddle. You know what I mean? You got players running back and forth.
Do you think that has anything to do with the fact that like in baseball, like as far as replay goes? Football replays are interesting. You can see the play better on replay than you could when it unfolded live. So when they run it back in whatever the analyst is, like whether it be Tony Romo does a great job of it, but a lot of these former quarterbacks do fantastic jobs showing you what happened on the previous play. You can't really do that in baseball after every pitch.
Well, and what are you going to do? Let's take a
boring.
look at this. And they do. I do enjoy the super slow-mo where they reduce it down to the frames per second are insane when you can actually see like the spin on the ball. You know what I mean? You can see the threads on the ball and see if he's throwing a slider, curveball, changeup, a 4-seam fastball, 2-seam fastball. I really like that analysis, but you can only do that. I mean, you got to think, what is there on average 100 and some pitches on one squad? So you're talking almost 250 to 300 pitches. You're not going to do that after every pitch, right? I mean, great. Another 4-seam fastball. That's awesome.
Right.
So they got to pick and choose, but I just truly believe that even when you're in the stands at a baseball game, I just feel it's made to be a more lax sport, right? In terms of a spectator sport, there's a reason they play so many games. There's a reason that there's a lot of downtime. And don't get me wrong, I mean, baseball players still phenomenal athletes, and you're right, it's still,
of course,
the World Series is still a great event to watch. But why, in my opinion, one of my favorite things about sporting events, especially being there live, maybe you can attest to this too, G, is the actual crowd noise and the crowd enthusiasm. You can really feel like crowd enthusiasm when you go to like a big Michigan.
100%.
I bet that Michigan-North Carolina basketball game that you went to, G, was probably one of the craziest crowds, just everything. It doesn't matter what's going on. It doesn't matter if it's silent, during like a Michigan free throw or something. I just feel that you could just feel the energy, right? You could still feel it like it's just ready to erupt. In baseball, I don't think you feel that very often in terms of the pitch, except for the World Series, where they got the towels rolling and you get your boy Joe Buck announcing the games, and
yeah, right.
I really think that. Again, I think Steve's right too. It's just football's just made for TV. Basketball, fast paced. I do hate the media timeout though in basketball. The timeouts that they have.
Yeah. Every 4.
It does add a certain element of strategy to the game because a lot of coaches they'll wait for the media timeout before if a team goes on a run or something. But let's see. Steve Fox says baseball has done a poor job of marketing their best players. Because they stick them in. True. I mean, you got Bryce Harper who was stuck in Philly. Trout stuck in Anaheim, not even the Dodgers. You got some of your best players stuck in very poor markets.
Manny Machado's in San Diego. What are you doing?
No one goes to a baseball game in San Diego. You know what I mean? That's ridiculous. You're out at the beach. Come on. That's a good point. Then and what they're doing right now, I know you weren't able to comment on it last week, but I know Steve was able to. What they're doing now with they're not able to get this agreement going, this is going to kill them.
It's a mess.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on that?
I think, I mean, to me as a younger fan, baseball has never been the prominent. Like you don't turn on SportsCenter and the first thing you see is baseball highlights. Hardly ever. Even in the summertime, there's NFL free agency going on. There's NBA playoffs going on for the first half. I mean, in a traditional sports calendar year, obviously not this year with COVID, but traditionally, when baseball is starting up, there's other sports that are hogging the headlines still. And I think that a lot of it is because those sports focus on their superstars. How much do you see of Patrick Mahomes right now? A ton. How much do you see of LeBron James right now? A ton. That's because the NBA and the NFL do a fantastic job of leaning into their stars. The MLB doesn't do that. The MLB wants to sit back and be your grandma and grandpa's sports store where it's America's pastime and you go to the ballpark and you have a hot dog, which again is great.
Yeah,
it's a blast.
Exactly.
But if you want to be marketable, kids love superstars. Kids want somebody they can be like, that's my favorite player. That's my guy. I'm rooting for him. Even if I'm from Michigan, I love Ronald Acuna Jr., so I'm a Braves fan. I love Aaron Judge, so I'm gonna be a Yankees fan. There's guys like that all over the place. I mean, I rooted for the Kansas City Chiefs as a kid because I loved Priest Holmes. Yeah. He wasn't even a superstar, but he had the rushing title or the rushing touchdown record, when I was like 7 or 8 years old, and I was like, that's my guy now. I'm an Lions and I'm a Chiefs fan. And in the NBA, I loved the Pistons because they were winning championships, but they had Ben Wallace and Rip Hamilton and Chauncey, and they didn't have a superstar on that team, but they were marketed. And the NBA pushed those Pistons-Lakers rivalries and pushed those Pistons-Spurs rivalries. Pistons and whatever. The MLB doesn't do that. Like, what are some good rivalries outside of the Red Sox and Yankees in baseball? I can't name a single one.
What you would like to see, and I'll get to actually. Let's real quick hold that thought, G. Let's move on to
sure.
Because I'm going to go with I will go with NASCAR as being NASCAR for certain. I do love F1 races and whatnot. Those are kind of fun to watch on TV. But when it comes to NASCAR and oval tracks, I love NASCAR on road courses. That's a blast to watch. Those guys are phenomenal driving around bricks at 130 miles an hour, right? But when it comes to just watching like an oval race, I think you really need one. You were saying with Priest Holmes, you need a guy. You need a guy that you can get behind, that you can root. My guy's Clint Boyer for NASCAR, so I enjoy watching it on TV because I enjoy seeing where he's going. Making moves, see if he's gaining time, losing time when he's leading. Is he going to hold it? His pit stops. There's a lot of interesting things. But if you don't have a guy to watch in NASCAR, oh my goodness, it's got to be just ridiculously boring. Especially if you don't understand the sport that well, you know what I mean. If you don't understand the rules, I just really think that I really think that if you don't have a guy in NASCAR, then it's just not very fun. And that goes back to like name another rivalry in baseball. That's something that every sport I think needs, or they start to die. They really do start to die. I'm sure like third on my list is golf. If we lost Tiger. Now I don't like watching golf. If Tiger and another guy, if Phil, starts playing well, I'm gonna watch a lot of golf. If it comes to Tiger Woods and he has a great rival, coming up. Of course, I'll watch the Masters.
Right.
Scotty Uleberry. Scotty U, thanks for joining in, man. He says Cubs and Cardinals. I forgot about that actually.
That's true.
That's a pretty good one, but not a huge one. Again, probably because they play. They're in the same division, so they play a ton
100
every
times
year.
a year.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So,
Yeah.
same with the Yankees, Red Sox. You just don't have a lot of buy-in because the rivalries they just don't mean as much as they used to. You know.
It's just watered down. I think it's like you said, with no rivalries really, no superstars really. Like outside of their market, is anyone pushing the Yankees nationwide? No. While the Patriots are shoved down everybody's throat on Sports Center every morning, And it's the same thing with, like you said, with NASCAR. Like there's no rivalries, right? Like, I mean, everybody hates Kyle Busch, I guess. Like other than that, there's no rivalries in NASCAR. It's the same thing with all these sports. I like golf. I enjoy going to play golf, and because I realize how hard it is, it's impressive to me, so I'll watch. It's similar to you. You love Clint Boyer, so you'll watch NASCAR.
Exactly.
But people that don't have that vested interest for some reason, they're just not drawn to these sports. I love watching golf on TV, but my girlfriend gets home and she's like, "How long have you been sitting here?" And I'm like, 4 hours. She's like, "I would rather die than have sat here for that long and watch this. This is so boring." There's very few sports that if you're not super interested in the teams or the players playing, that you want to watch. Football and basketball are two of the only ones,
Yeah, and that going back to like the NFL where it's just marketed. I do enjoy the games. It doesn't matter if I like a player in the game or not. I just really enjoy football, even college football. I'll watch a Pac-12 game late at night if it's on. I just really enjoy it, and I just love the competitiveness of football. Another one is like hockey. Hockey's just really tough for me to get into too. Same with soccer. Soccer's really tough. That's the last on my list was soccer. Unless of course you get these major rivalries. And again, you got the Premier League, but the problem is they play like in American and United States time, really early or really late, right? So it's tough to watch them live. And I know going to one of those matches would be pretty fun. I will say, especially over in Europe.
Stadiums are crazy.
Yeah, that'd be a blast. But it's just it's tough for a lot of these sports to really. They were made to watch live. Steve Fox says huge difference in ratings when Tiger's in the running for a tournament win. Well, yeah, of course. I mean, look at the Masters. What was it last year? Goodness gracious. Steve Fox says no Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Gordon in NASCAR. That's correct. Because they took that away. They took away the actual rubbing his racing thing, and now it's all about safety. So you still get some pretty rough wrecks on like super speedways, restrictor plate like Daytona or Talladega, but you don't see a lot of the wrecks that you used to. You don't get around every turn, two rivals bumping and grinding. So it's just it literally is. I hate to use the cliche because I really like NASCAR, but just driving in circles until the very end to position yourself. The races are just a little too long too. Even watching them live, they're just a little too long.
Yeah.
So that's
I agree.
That's kind of. I think the long and the short of it is got to have a rivalry in the sport, or it's you just won't watch it. There's no need to watch it on TV because you got such a selection now, right? So. Let's move on. Thanks everyone for joining. Adam Amble and Garrett Collier. G's back on the mic. He is live from Nashville, Tennessee now, so that's exciting. But thanks for joining to the A to G Show 2.0 episode 11 on this Tuesday night. Let's move on to topic 3G, and this is this was kind of just a throw out there, but we obviously have to talk about it being Michigan fans and being Tom Brady fans, and that is just your opinion. What is your projection this year for Tom Brady and the Buccaneers as a whole? I have some other questions for you too. So just first and foremost, what was your thoughts when Tom Brady actually went to the Buccaneers?
When he first signed, I was a little bit surprised that of the locations available, that is where he chose. To me, the one that made the most sense was LA to the Chargers. Their roster was a little bit more put together. They have one of the best secondaries in the NFL, better receivers, marginally better receivers, I should say. But then if you really start looking at that Tampa Bay offense, they've got two really good tight ends in O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate. They've got two really good receivers in Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Ronald Jones looks like he's dying to break out at running back. The pieces are there on the offense. My concern for him at the Bucs is their defense. But yeah, initially I was a little bit surprised But then the more I look at their roster, the more it kind of makes sense. Florida's a nice place to live. I believe that's one of the states where there's no
Yep, no
state
state
income
income tax.
tax, along
Giselle
with
has
like
a little bit of
Tennessee.
media, right?
Right. So it makes a little bit of sense. I personally was obviously rooting for him to come to Tennessee and be
Mm.
a Titan because it'd be so cool to watch him. But at the same time, I like Ryan Tannehill here, and that's a totally different thing. I just think he fits the system better. But
Well, you
yeah,
got the Beast
Bruce
Henry
Arians,
anyway, right? So
true. The other thing that I considered when he signed with Tampa Bay was Bruce Arians. If you look what he did for Carson Palmer and Kurt Warner when they were in Arizona, he was a wizard. He resurrected both of their careers. So I think there's something to be said for that. That Tom is older, and while he's still a really, really good quarterback, he's not 2010 to 2014 Tom anymore. And he's going to have to change the way he plays a little bit, and the system's going to have to change. And Bruce Arians has dealt with veteran quarterbacks before, so it seems like a pretty seamless fit to me.
yeah, I would agree. I was happy because I always liked Tampa Bay's uniforms. Kind of went over that. One of the first actual jerseys I had was the Mike Allstott jersey, which was pretty sweet. I used to love that thing. My mom, of course, says, "Oh, Adam Lawrence, hey, good to see you, Adam. Long time no see." Coleman native. Besides Trout, not sure he's replying back to Steve on besides Trout on marketing. I would assume, of course, Adam lives out in California now, I believe. So he probably gets to hear about Trout, on occasion, but
all the time.
My mom says, I'm sure he will do awesome, obviously referring to Tom Brady. My mom's, of course, too.
She's a diehard.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, yeah. But she did say she's on the right track, G, because she did say she's going to like Patrick Mahomes after Tom Brady actually retires in another 20 years. So that'll be good. But yeah, in my opinion, for Tom Brady, I thought it was a good fit because I really didn't want to see him go to Tennessee. I know I'm a big fan of Clay Travis, but he was always hyping Tom Brady to Clay Travis, a big Tennessee guy. So I was really Tampa wasn't really in the running majorly, right? It was what? It was Tennessee, it was the Colts, and it was San Diego.
Chargers.
Yeah.
Well,
Or no, LA, sorry. LA. My bad.
Yeah.
My bad, everyone. And in my opinion, going to Tampa, he's going to be better for the team. He's going to be better for the team because Jameis just couldn't hold on to the ball, and he put a lot. You mentioned the defense, G, and we kind of went over this last week, but let's not forget, like, Jameis put the defense in a lot of rough situations, throwing those picks deep in their own territory, right? So, and towards the end of the season, they were a top defense in the last 6 games. So Arians finally kind of put it together. It looked like. So I'm very curious to see how the defense plays this year, and I think this whole COVID thing might actually kind of help Tom in terms of everyone kind of starting off a little shaky, right? Shaky because he's learning a new offense. I do think they cater to Tom, obviously, when it goes to the offense. You have to with those weapons. And a lot of people think that Tom has lost a step. Of course he has, but and I know a lot of people say it, but he didn't have the weapons last year. He had terrible weapons. I think we've become so accustomed to Tom Brady making everyone better around him, and last year he just couldn't do it, right? But let's not forget, last year when they started 6-0, they were predicting undefeated season.
Yeah, they weren't bad.
Yeah. Don't forget that. Gee, I know you haven't, but let's not forget, everyone was telling, Super Bowl champs, hands down, and then they kind of hit a rut. They had a few key injuries. And I really think Tom, down in Tampa, you're right. He's got great weapons. Holy crap. I mean, probably top-notch weapons. There's no excuse for him not having weapons on offense and having a decent offensive line, so he's not going to have to scramble. And let's face it, Tom does great. Tom's an accurate thrower, and he's a student of the game, right? So those are 2 things you can never take away from him. He has that X factor of being accurate. We've talked about that a lot with quarterbacks, whether it be college or NFL. Accuracy is huge. His arm strength's probably a little less, but it's not like the worst in the league. You know what I mean?
No.
By far, even at the age of 43? I mean, come on. Yeah. So, with saying that, who are your picks? I know JC, if JC is watching still, JC, he was kind of thinking who they're going to go over. We kind of had a little discussion offline. Who they going to win? Who do you got winning that? Who do you got winning that division? G.
It's going to be so interesting. That division is really wide open because to me, you've got the Saints are the established team. Obviously, they've been to the playoffs recently. They've played well. Drew Brees is Drew Brees.
Yeah.
Michael Thomas might be the best receiver in the NFL. Alvin Kamara is such a threat. That defense is solid. But you look at the other three teams, and there's no reason that they can't win the division. The Panthers, if Teddy Bridgewater can play the way he did for New Orleans last year when Brees was out and the way he played in Minnesota when he was healthy, they're a super dangerous team. They've got arguably the best running back in the league. You look at Arizona, Matt Ryan and Julio Jones in that defense that they have. And I don't understand it. Now they got Todd Gurley, so I don't understand why Atlanta can't win that division. So it's wide open. I think the Bucs will be second in that division, probably to the Saints. But I would not be surprised if they were fourth.
Yeah.
As crazy as that sounds, that is one of the few divisions in the NFL where I think it could really go any direction. There aren't very many that are like that. Most divisions have a weak link, and from the outside looking in, no games being played, it doesn't appear there is a team like that. Now Atlanta could crap the bed like they did last year and go 4-12 or 5-11 or whatever they did, and then I look silly for saying that. But yeah, that division looks wide open to me. I would have to pick the Saints to win it, but I do think the Bucs will get a wild card spot if that's the case.
Yeah, and Steve says no Belichick in Tampa. That's true. Well, that's the ultimate discussion, right? Is who does better,
Right.
Who wins the divorce. Steve also says Atlanta he thinks will win that division. So you're not Steve's a pretty smart guy when it comes to the NFL for sure. And Atlanta, he did mention Atlanta played pretty well down the stretch last year. So they did pick it up. So I would not disregard them, right? Or
you can't disregard anyone in that division.
I don't think the Panthers are going to be all that great. They got Bridgewater, right?
Teddy B and Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore.
It's just tough, with a brand new coach. They lost one of my favorite coaches in the league. I can't believe they got rid of him, but Ron Rivera. And it'll be tough, and we'll see what Bridgewater does with a little more less talent than New Orleans, right? So
of course,
we'll see. But he did step up really well last year when Breeze was out. So yeah, in my opinion, I think Tampa's got a great shot, but I am right there with you, G. I think the division is up in the air with keeping the Panthers out, but I think it's a 3-team race. You never know when Matt Ryan's going to turn it on. The perennial, or he's been an MVP before. I mean, come on, let's face it. And Steve Fox is the whole Drew Brees thing a distraction in New Orleans. I'd love to get in on it, but sorry, that's going to be way political probably. So we're going to, I'm sure you can listen to that on any news channel, Steve. So we'll let that go. We'll let that go. But it's a good question. It's a very good question, but it's going to be tough because we could have a whole show on that probably, G, but
definitely.
Let's move on to our next one, and this will be a fun one, G, because I know we really haven't. Again, thanks everyone for joining the A to G Show 2.0. Adam Amble, Garrett Collier, and I really think that this is a fun topic, especially personally for me and you, G, especially at this stage in our lives, and we haven't got to experience. Everything. You a little more than me because you were down in Nashville before. But I really want to get your take on what has it been like moving to a new state, a new major sports city, right? I mean, Nashville is just huge for sports. Really, SEC, ACC country. What do you got? The Volunteers. You got Vanderbilt around there. You got Georgia just to the south of you. You got a lot of different sports, just sports fanatics, right? You got from baseball. I know you love the Tigers, but you got the Braves now. Football. You're gonna have the Titans. You're gonna have the Falcons. I mean, you got your cream of the crop pickings down there. Actually, now that I think about it, you got some good squads down there that you can pick from. What's it been like though in terms of? I'm sure you still sport around some of your Michigan gear and whatnot. You get any grief for it or anything, buddy? What's it been like moving to a new state, a new area, being a diehard Michigan fan?
It's actually been overwhelmingly well received. There are every gig we play, we meet people from Michigan, and it's gonna feel like I'm exaggerating to people, but it's how it is. Everyone down here is from Michigan. I swear, one of every 10 people that lives in Tennessee was from Michigan. Everybody loves it. I get Go Blue more than I get like FU of M, way more. A ton of Michigan fans down here, man. It's crazy. I was working at Old Navy for a while. My boss was from Alabama, diehard Crimson Tide fan. So like we had a good little bit of crap talk before the bowl game, and
Yeah,
obviously that
yeah.
didn't go how I wanted it to. And now my roommate here, he's from Nashville. He's never lived outside of Davidson County. He's a diehard. He's got season tickets to the Titans games, so we're gonna go tailgate to some Titans games.
Oh, sweet.
He's
That's
got
awesome.
his parents have season tickets to the Vols up in Knoxville, so we'll go to a game or two out there. We've actually talked about, he has never been to Detroit, and so he wants to do a weekend where Saturday, Sunday we go to Michigan and Lions games, and the following weekend we do Vols Titans, which would be such a blast.
Oh,
But
talk about a fun couple weeks, right?
right, I know it's been so cool, man. He's as diehard about sports as you. So it's been nice to have somebody to talk to sports about and kind of get a different perspective, because he loves the NFC South, and he loves the AFC South, right? Being a Titans fan, so those are the two divisions in the NFL he follows the closest. And then he's a big Tennessee fan, so he hates Kentucky, he hates Georgia, he hates Alabama. So it's been interesting to listen to him, and he is definitely one of those UT fans that thinks every year is going to be UT's year, and then they suck again.
Yep.
But it's been a blast, man. It really has. The Lions play at Nissan this year, so we're going to try to go to that one for sure.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's been awesome. There's a ton of bars. So obviously it's Nashville. There's a ton of bars. That goes without saying. But a lot of them have like a team that, like, on Sundays, all of those teams' fans will go to that bar that live in Nashville now. So there's a bar called Slider House that is like the Michigan Detroit Lions bar. So like for Michigan games on Saturdays and Lions games on Sundays, that's where all the Lions and Wolverine fans go. So it's been fun to go watch some games there. I watched a couple Michigan basketball games there and one Michigan football game, and it's just a cool spot.
Cool. So that's an actual Michigan bar down in Nashville.
Yeah, it's owned by Michigan natives.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm right there with you, G, and I want to kind of piggyback off that, simply because we are very lucky and blessed to be U of M Wolverine fans, because I feel every major city in the United States, everyone that I've been to anyway, and that's probably at least 50. You know what I mean?
Right.
At least 50 major U.S. cities. They all have at least one Michigan bar, one Michigan bar from, and I'm just off the top of my head, Denver, Phoenix, Vegas, Charlotte, New Orleans, all of the, some of them aren't that big, but they're still, it's nothing but a bunch of Michigan Michigan fans all congregating in one area. And that's fantastic. And that's what, moving to Colorado, luckily I haven't had to endure a whole football season, but Jess introduced me to a Michigan bar here in Denver. It's called Lodo's, and it's right downtown, and it's I think it's owned by Michigan alums, and they played. We watched 2 football games there last year. We saw the opening game against Middle Tennessee there, and then we watched the bowl game there. Oh, we watched 3. We watched Michigan, Indiana there. And then there's another place called the View House here over in Littleton. And we watched, you got a beautiful view of the Rockies outside and stuff. And you got to remember when the game started at noon out there in the East, it's at 10 o'clock here. It's at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So we're like the only ones in the bar at that point at the View House, because that's not a Michigan bar, but we get like our own VIP, like little booth with our own big screen right in front of us and stuff.
That's awesome.
And it's a blast. So I actually watched the majority of the games out here in Colorado last season. I didn't even live out here yet, so I'm really looking forward to this season. Hopefully we have it and everything, which we will. It's looking like it's a done deal. And
I hope so.
Whether it be, depending on how many fans they let in, you got Texas, U of T is looking at letting in over almost 50% of their fans back in. And that's with information we have right now. It's still early, middle June. So we don't even know what it's going to be like the 1st of September.
Right.
But moving out here in terms of college basketball, God bless Jess. She's been great in supporting my obsession with Michigan football and basketball. And
sure.
so I am going to miss the getting, and of course I'll traveling back to Michigan here and there. So,
Of course.
but watching it with a bunch of my friends, family, a lot of the basketball games. You know how many good times we had up at the M Factor Studios up there watching
Yes, sir.
Michigan football, Michigan basketball. With the crew and whatnot, so that's something that I'm definitely gonna miss. That's something I already miss. You know what I mean? It's just natural, especially not being able to travel for this damn virus. Not
Yeah.
being able to go because I've been away from pretty much everyone. Jess has been fantastic, but of course you get a little homesick after a while
Of
of
course.
not
Yeah.
being able to see everyone. You mentioned you're heading home what next weekend, G, to do
Yeah.
a. You letting anyone at that show actually, or is it just gonna be all
So
live on Facebook?
no, they're letting 60 people in, and they gotta socially distance, whatever. But
Sure.
yeah, they're letting 60 people in. It's a big barn. It normally holds 150, so they're letting, I guess, just over a third in. But
That's still
yeah,
pretty
it's gonna
good.
be
That's still pretty
right.
good.
We're getting somewhere. Is the positive note
Yeah,
of it?
yep, exactly. So, yeah, it's just that's been the tough part. I think it would have been better if I still would have missed it, but we could have went back to Michigan for like March Madness the first weekend.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would have suppressed my urge to really want to
Right.
the camaraderie of a bunch of Michigan friends and that jazz. But when it comes to moving out here, I'm definitely gonna become a Broncos fan. They were my second favorite team anyway, pretty much
Right.
growing up. So it'd be fun to hopefully get to go to a few games. I think they're gonna be the
They look
surprise.
loaded up.
What's that?
Yeah. They're loaded up,
I
man.
know.
They
I
might be
think
really
I think
good.
they're gonna be the surprise team of the league. There's been a couple
Them or
sports.
Arizona.
Yeah. I think Kyler Murray's legit.
Right.
So.
It's got to be Arizona or Denver. Those are my picks.
Yeah, and I
for
think
sure.
Drew Lock is severely underrated. I think they may have
Agreed.
found their quarterback for the future finally, because Elway's been
Yeah.
sucking it at getting quarterbacks here ever since him.
Yeah.
Right? That's well, they got Peyton, but
But
yeah, that's kind of towards.
broken.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, that's been kind of my experience so far, and I've gotten lucky, G, to where lucky and unlucky because I haven't had to endure a lot of the sports season because there hasn't been any, right? So I haven't had to really endure, everyone getting together and
Missing out.
and not being
Yeah.
involved, right? But now, like I said, Jess has been fantastic in aiding my sports obsession. So. Or supporting my sports obsession. So
Yeah.
I'm sure once, the bars have been open out here for a couple weeks now. We've actually been going out. They're letting people in. There's a lot of, similar to Nashville, where I'm sure there's a lot of patios, rooftop bars,
Yep.
to where you can be outside, which is nice
Yep.
and stay safe, of course.
Of course.
So that's been great. But no, that's a great discussion, G, and I'm glad that you found a couple of Nashville, Michigan bars out there, and of
Sure.
course that you have an actual now a roommate that actually enjoys sports just as much. Does he like all sports or?
Yeah, he's more football and basketball only, and I've slowly but surely converted Callie into a football fan. She loves LSU, which is a little bit of a homer pick because they were so good last year
Yeah.
and we're in the South. But I was like, you know what? If there's a team that you're willing to watch with me, I'm not gonna call you out for being a bandwagon. She likes Mahomes, so just like your mom, so she likes the Chiefs and the Chiefs and LSU. But I'm like, you know what? It's cool with me.
Yeah, exactly. That's just like the sport, right?
Right.
And then
exactly.
who knows?
Exactly.
Michigan and LSU talking about trying to get that
Yeah.
that series going. It better be, and I know this is the opinion of everyone on the internet. It better be a home series
It
and
better be.
not a neutral site. It would be awesome to see Michigan go down to Death Valley, though.
It'd be so. I mean, we would lose. But it'd
Yeah,
be awesome.
I was gonna say it probably wouldn't be good in terms of the score, but it would be fun to see.
Right.
I don't think I've ever. Maybe Steve has. I have never seen Michigan down in like an LSU or
Have we
Alabama.
gone to any? Have we gone to any SEC teams ever? Like in my lifetime? Not that I can remember.
No, because the more I'm thinking about it, Florida was at a neutral site when we played them.
Alabama at the neutral site that one year.
Bama was at Jerry's World. Florida was at Jerry's World too, right?
Yeah, I don't know that we've ever gone down there.
I'm just trying to think of actual SEC teams that we've played. Oh, Steve Fox says nope. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So yeah, I think that would be very interesting to see them down in Death Valley. It'd be cool to see a SEC team come up to, hey, you know what, and play it in the middle of the season. Let's see them play in
Yeah.
the cold. I want to see them play in
Right.
the cold, see how their speed matches up in the cold.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I'm being a little facetious, G, but I'm
They're
sure they'd
very
be just
good. They're
fine.
very fast.
But let's face it, it would be a little bit of a disadvantage for them. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I'm sure it'd be those kids aren't used to the bitter
No.
cold and wind
No.
and then it'd be fun for them too to come to the big house and come see a real stadium, right? So
For sure.
the stadium. But good stuff, G. Thanks everyone for joining tonight. It's been a good time. We're gonna head into B&O. Adam Adel, Garrett Collier here, and don't forget, if you're just tuning in, to head on over to the YouTube channel there, the M Factor. Search the M Factor. Click on subscribe so you don't miss any episodes, and also head on over to our merch store. We got some new T-shirts, sweatshirts, coffee mugs, anything you guys want with the M Factor A to G symbol, A team, G team. Join the squads. Really appreciate it. Head on over there, and we really appreciate your support. But let's move on to a little bit of B&O. G, you got any topics for me tonight, or is it? Not a problem. We got a few that we can talk about. So, we got one more comment. Steve Fox says Alabama did play at Happy Valley a few years back. So I do know, and wasn't it LSU that played in Green Bay, right? They played at Lambeau against Wisconsin, didn't they? So that was more recent. That was in the last decade. I know that. But that's still, I mean, that'd have been awesome for LSU to come to Camp Randall. You know what I mean? That would have been
Lambeau. That makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't understand why they would play that. I mean, it's still technically a home game for Wisconsin, but gosh, how awesome!
Isn't Camp Randall bigger anyway?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, in terms of capacity, it's got to be. It's got to be.
Makes no sense.
I don't know. I don't know why they did that. Maybe that's what the contract was. And again, that's why I hope they don't do it where, it's at two neutral sites. And I
swear, if we play them at the frickin' Superdome and at Ford Field, I'll be so ticked off.
Yeah, why?
I'll be so ticked off.
That just shows me that LSU's a bunch of pussies, right? And they don't want to play outdoors up here in Michigan.
I guess.
And I would love, because I loved what they did last year, playing Notre Dame in the middle of the season. I think that's great. So you could start off with a few, Rugrat teams and get your confidence going.
Notre Dame out. Yeah, that was awesome.
Oh God, that was great in the rain.
That was my favorite game last year. Easy.
Yeah, I think so. Or the Michigan State game, the blowout against Michigan State.
But I knew we were going to do that.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter anymore, right, JC? If you're still watching,
Notre Dame was supposed to be a close game, and we dog walked them. I knew we were going to blow Michigan State out
in the monsoon, right? In the monsoon. Remember that? Oh, just raining the whole time. I was talking to people that actually went to that game. And they said it was probably one of the best games they've ever been to. And of course, I guess the crowd was, and good for them. Cheers to the fan base at Michigan, because we got to see what Michigan State does. Later on in the year when, you remember they were giving away tickets. I think they had 200 people at their senior day for the last game of the season there.
When you're playing Rutgers the last game of the season to try to become bowl eligible, it's kind of dire times.
But still, come on, G. We've been told that Michigan State is legit football school, so
Never.
Come on. All right, thanks for joining. We're gonna rock some B&O. Gee, I got some good ones for you. Let's see, what do we got? First one is here we go. All right, so I'm gonna go with Chuck Taylors or Air Jordans.
Ooh, Chucks.
See, I was thinking you'd like the Chucks, but I know you kind of a sneaker guy, right? So
I wore a pair of all white Air Force Ones to the senior prom and thought I was the coolest dude ever. So that's what made me almost pick Jordans. My roommate that's a Tennessee fan, he's more of a sneakerhead than me. He's got like 300 pairs of shoes, and he's a huge Jordan guy. But I have way more pairs of Chucks than I do Jordans for sure.
Yeah, I think Chucks, even though I also dislike Jordan immensely, but Steve Fox says Chuck Taylors. I'm a Chuck Taylor fan too, even though they are definitely not to play basketball, and I don't know how they did it back in the day.
How did they do that? How?
I have no idea. Just flat, no support. Oh my goodness, your dad probably played in Chuck Taylors, didn't he?
Yeah. Oh yeah, ask JC. He's old enough. High school probably.
If he didn't close up shop after the Michigan State talk there, he might have disconnected.
Yeah, he probably turned us off for the night, I'm sure.
Exactly. Sorry, JC, if you're still watching, buddy. So I'm gonna go Chuck Taylors as well. I think Chuck Taylors are they're just pimp looking, especially when they came out with like the different colors and stuff. I was a huge fan of the all black Chuck Taylors. So
Right. I had a yellow pair in middle school that I loved.
Oh God, yeah. No, I'm not shocked. G, yellow pair, yeah. We'll call him Maze
Michigan,
pair.
man. Come on.
Steve Fox
Yeah, there
says.
you go.
Steve Fox has lots of sprained ankles. Yeah, there was like no support in them.
Dude.
It was like wearing a sock with like a sheet of rubber underneath them. That's
exactly.
it. Like a half-inch sheet of rubber. Unbelievable. Right. Oh yeah, that's rough. But okay, here we go. This one I wasn't really sure about what you would pick, and that is V-neck T-shirt versus a hoodie.
Oh, hoodie all day.
Hoodie all day. Lazy ass.
I love hoodies, and you can't see it. That's why I love this show, right? I look like got a nice T-shirt. I'm wearing sweatpants right now. I love sweat.
Hey, I'm just wearing shorts too and a shirt, man. So that's why it's nice. That's why it's nice we're not doing any like weather reporting or anything like on.
We have to see our legs.
Yeah, exactly. We both be like, oh, geez, yeah. That was No, yeah. Fortunately, just for everyone that's watching, we both just got out of work probably. So that was, we got home, showered up, and then we got to prep for the show.
Here we are.
And that's actually, I'll tell you guys what, I will be putting out a special for the A to G show and really showing you behind the scenes on what it takes to actually set everything up, how G has to set up all the equipment that I got going on here. It's really taking this course over the last 2 years, G. It's been fantastic that we've been able to do this, especially via Skype. This has been fantastic. In 2 different cities, I was really bummed that when you moved away, in the middle of last season, and I was like, well, we can't really do anything anymore, so we might have to host the M Factor together now. The M Factor show together instead of just myself talking into the cameras, right?
For sure.
That'd be a blast. But I'm more of I'd go a hoodie as well.
Yeah,
especially if it's comfortable.
Right.
You have to go get yourself go get yourself an M Factor hoodie. Those things they're really good quality. So let's see. Here's one for you, G. What do you believe is real? Sasquatch or Nessie the Loch Ness Monster?
Neither.
You're going with neither on that one? You don't believe in Sasquatch?
Just conspiracy theories in general. I don't want to put them down because they're very interesting to me. Like anybody who wants to tell me their conspiracy theory, I'm all ears. I love listening to them, but I'm like, BS. Like no way.
What about aliens?
So I was just about to say my mom and my little brother went to Area 51. They didn't go in, but they went to Rosdale or whatever. Roswell. Sorry. And I was like, why did you go there? It's all fake. Like it's all made up. I don't believe in any of it.
Oh wow! So you don't believe in like extraterrestrials either?
I feel like there's probably little bugs and stuff on the other planets, but other human type creatures, no, I don't.
Let me rephrase that, because I don't think that they've made it to Earth, but I definitely believe in obviously something else out there, right? So
that's very possible.
Yeah,
that's very possible.
Now, let me rephrase that. So Scotty Eulaberry says chupacabra.
The chupacabra, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but I've heard of it, and I think it's BS too. Probably.
You think that's real, Scotty? Is that what you're going at? Of course, Scotty and I both believe in chemtrails, so that's a big one. That's a big one. Obviously, hey, clear day. You look up in the sky. What do you see? Chemtrails. Obviously, there's something to it, right, G? Right?
It's gotta be the government.
Scott Slack says, Scotty, good to see you too, man. Both. Didn't you see the photos?
Yeah. You mean of that guy in the costume? I did.
Yeah.
I saw that.
And I think who was it? The comedian. I can't even think of him. Oh, Mitch Hedberg, where he's like, I think what makes Bigfoot so scary is that he's blurry in real life.
Yeah, right.
There's just a blurry monster walking around out there. So, I'm gonna go with neither on that one too. But Scott Slack says both. He's going with both. He's using up the B. Oh man,
he's abusing.
That's rough. All right, next one is good hair or good beard.
Oh well, right now I just got my hair cut 2 days ago actually, so the hair's good.
First one in a while, or
since January.
Nice,
yeah,
nice.
I'm gonna say, obviously I'd like both, but if I had to pick one, I would pick good hair for sure.
Yeah.
No. Hold on, I'm gonna flip because I can wear a hat, so I'm gonna say a good beard.
Oh really? Well, you don't have to wear a beard either, so.
I look like I'm 13 when I shave.
I'll tell you what though, there's if there's any thinning hair or baldies, watch it. You're growing up in the right, or you're in the right era, because the style of straight edge in your hair and then leaving the beard. Oh man,
Yep.
it's unreal right now.
Yep.
It's solid. So, all right, last one, buddy, and this is an odd one. Pee really bad or poop really bad?
Like I gotta go.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh.
Oh,
What's more of a
I mean,
worse feeling?
pee, because I like pooping. It feels great.
Yeah, but what feels worse, when you got to poop really bad or when you got to pee
Oh,
really bad?
I crap my pants like 6 weeks ago. So,
That is documented, buddy. That is documented.
hey, listen, I had wings, and then I sat at the restaurant for 45 minutes talking to my friends, and I had a 30-minute drive home, and I really thought I could make it. And me and the scorpion sauce didn't agree, and I did not make it.
Oh man, it
Yeah.
was a fiery one too, huh?
It was the hottest wing sauce they had because I'm an idiot.
Well, yeah, that's what you get, man. That's what you get. Well,
What a way to end the show, man.
yeah, hey, that's how I wanted to do it. Yeah, and it is perfect timing. We are out of time, folks. Thanks again for joining in tonight. Really appreciate it. If you did miss it, again, it'll be on YouTube. Head on over to the M Factor page. I'll post it tomorrow evening. So get on over there, subscribe to the M Factor, catch the A to G Show 2.0. A-Train Radio, and of course the M Factor podcast. So that's a great thing. G, anything to add before we head out, buddy?
No, man, it's good to be back. I'm looking forward to sports. Seem like they're on their way back. I feel like we need to do an NBA playoffs preview episode soon.
Yeah, that's a good idea, actually. I would be down with that. And G, this year I promise I will, just because I'm so thirsty for sports, right? I'll be watching some NBA games. So we're gonna discuss. Yeah, we're going to do some analysis on some NBA. So everyone else out there, too, make sure you get on, watch some NBA games so you can comment, leave them in the comment section. Great comments again tonight, folks. Adam Amble, Garrett Collier, we will see you guys next Tuesday. Peace out. Have a great week, great weekend. We'll see you next week, everyone.